Alrighty, I'm sitting here today with Sean Hyatt, my good friend, in Diane's Bagel Shop. And Sean felt like the Lord spoke to him about the idea of taking the CO2 idea and doing it with his family. So tell us about your family. Tell us how long you've been doing it. And Sean, what have you seen as a result of that?
Absolutely. I'm happy to share because it's been an incredibly joyful and just blessed time of learning together as a family. So it was actually just before the turn of the year. January 1st is when we started. Felt like the Lord said, want you to, what if you did this with your family? So take time to check in, take time to listen together and share what we're hearing from the Lord. And when I say family, me, my wife, my 10-year-old son, 7-year-old son, and 1-year-old daughter, and our little dog. And so since then, now it's the end of February, so we've been at it for 2 months. Since then, it's been amazing. So when we started it, it was definitely new territory. The kids take naturally to checking in, maybe not so naturally without some teaching and coaching to listening. But we jumped right in, and it's difficult, but we quickly realized a couple things. One is that it helped us to put a piece of paper in the middle, say on the coffee table as we gather in the living room, one piece of paper, one pen, and that way any of us can go up to the piece of paper and write things down as we're hearing them from the Lord. And so that helps the kids. Since then, we've actually got them their own little journals, so we each have our own journal. And that way we can each, as we feel led and as we're hearing from the Lord, jot things down. Since then, we very quickly heard the Lord say, I want you to be having dinner with your neighbors. And that came out of a dream that Mom had, that my wife had. We agreed the dream reminded us that we should probably be having dinner with our neighbors. Felt like that's what the Lord was saying. He also was really talking to us about heaven one night, so we decided we should memorize some verses about heaven. So we memorized 5 verses about heaven to learn more about what it's like. We heard recently that we should buy some clothes for an orphan that we've supported for years. Tupelo Children's Mansion in Mississippi. You should buy some clothes for her. So we agreed, that's what we feel like. That's the Lord. So, but through this, we've seen incredible growth in my children, my wife. One of the amazing things that just happened the other day is that is after dinner, we had just finished doing the dishes, and that's normally when we sit down to check in together and listen to the Lord together. Well, my wife and I couldn't find the boys, and we found them in our room with the door closed, and they said, we're doing our worship time tonight by ourselves. So we kind of chuckled and sat down in the living room and listened and could hear their muffled voices from the other room. And there they were, checking in together. They listened for 2 minutes, they told me, together. They each heard something from the Lord, and they each took time to pray just after that. And afterward, my kids were in such a good mood, they didn't fight all night. And he even told me, Dad, that was so much fun. He said, I wonder if we could do this like once a week, where we just do it. And I said, I think that's a great idea. What a surprise, but what a joy for parents to see their children worshiping themselves, leading themselves, shepherding themselves under his headship, and taking off with that. So that's where we are now.
That's a great story, Sean. Give us one idea, one hint about how you teach, especially little kids, this whole idea of hearing God's voice. How have you done that with your boys?
That's a great question. Mostly just through modeling thus far, although I'm beginning to see a need for laying down a few simple principles. Up until now, we haven't done anything. We just said we take time to quietly listen. The Lord might put something into your head. He might, put a song on your heart that we should sing. He might remind you of a person that we should pray for. He might, you could say 100 different things. And so as we listen, we believe that he'll talk to us.
And so they kind of get that. I mean, they come back and say, here's what the thought that came to my head.
They do, yeah. And certainly different things from a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old, and you can kind of sense the different levels of maturity and understanding in that. But even if you know it's probably just them thinking of something, maybe it is, maybe it's not, it's growing, it's maturing, it's familiarizing themselves with this concept.
Yes. Boy, thank you, Sean. Thanks for being a good model to us and experimenting with that and listening to the Lord. And wouldn't it be an amazing thing if every Christian household across the country began to do these simple little things that you're doing? Let's pray that God will begin to do that kind of thing. You guys are pioneers, so thank you.
Amen.
All right.
Amen.